Hello and welcome to today's video where we're going to go over whether Smolder boosted or held back players in the four major regions. And after doing this video, you can clearly, after doing the research, you can clearly see on the board that it boosted pretty much everybody outside of about just under 20% of the teams and AD carries in the four major regions. Keep in mind, if a team split time at AD carry, I included the AD carry that played more games for that team. The two numbers you see alongside the players on the board are outright DPM, positive or negative, and then the second number is a percentage. That is the percentage of minutes played on Smolder relative to the amount of minutes the player played all season long. So over here we have the ones that were actually hurt, or I guess their DPM was negatively impacted when they played Smolder, and it caused their DPM across the entire split to go down. Over here, we have the majority of the players that played Smolder, and their DPM rose as a result because players were outright boosted by that Elder Dragon buff, essentially, in the abilities. And we're going to go over, a couple key players and things like that I've highlighted, as well as try and draw some correlations here. So we'll start with the ones that were lowered. So FBI had 33 less DPM across the entire split as a result due to Smolder, and he played it for just under 10% of his minutes. Masu, 18 less and about 6.6% of minutes. Upset for Carmine Corp, 11 less and about 5%. Yeon, 8 less and nearly 13% of his minutes played. And that is the highest player on the lower side in terms of percentage, and the 9th highest percentage of minutes in the four major regions. So Team Liquid played Smolder about the 9th most in terms of minutes played, and it actually harmed Yeon in DPM more than it helped him. So you got to wonder. Keep in mind also, I didn't include. So I said this in the beginning. This is a regular season only. This does not include playoffs. So Smolder was actually harming Team Liquid more than it was helping them, and they go to MSI. Anyways, we saw yesterday, if you missed my video where I went over most commonly played champions, Yeon was one of 3 players to play Aphelios more than anything else. I believe it was Pays, Yeon, and Hans Sama who were in that trio. Assume for Rare Atom, 5, 4.4, Meech 3, 7.1, Duck Dom 3, 2.1, Tactical 1 and about 8%, and then Prince 1 and 3.5. So honestly, nobody over there that's exceptional. Now, Duck Dom and FPX did finish top 5 in the LPL, but otherwise, a lot of those players, were on teams. Never mind. I guess Masu did go to MSI. It's kind of something, right? So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the starting 8 to 80 carries in the LCS. Smolder actually negatively impacting their DPM. And then you have in the middle here a handful of players that didn't play Smolder at all in spring or winter in the case of LEC regular season. Light from Weibo, and then Bvoy, Shopify Rebellion, Noah from Fnatic, Exakick from SK Gaming, and Ice from Team BDS. Those 5 did not play Smolder at all. Here, we'll go over this in a minute. This is just kind of showing how it may have affected ranking and DPM in the four major regions, and it didn't affect it too much. In terms of boosted, though, who was the most boosted? It was Hans Sama by a country mile. And if you're from outside of America, the United States, country, I guess kilometer, I don't know. Negative 110 DPM. So that means that his DPM, when you take Smolder away, is down 110 in all his non-Smolder games. He played it for nearly 25% of minutes played. I combined LEC stats from winter and spring, did the math, and G2 played it 4 times out of 18 games, And as a result of those games taking forever because it is Smolder and things of that nature, it was almost 25% of the minutes, and it was the most in the four major regions. Envy third in terms of percentage of minutes, but second in terms of how much it helped him. When you take it away, his DPM drops by 82 for OK Brion. Played it for about 22% of minutes. He was the one player yesterday that I could say played Smolder than anything else in yesterday's video. Teddy third, negative 62 and 13.1% for DRX. That's eighth most minutes. LWX for RNG, fourth most in minutes at about 18.6% and negative 51 DPM. Jiwoo, seventh in minutes played for Nongshim Red Force, negative 48 and 14.1%. Tomo, second in percentage at 23.7%, negative 43. And then On, sixth in minutes played at 14.4% and negative 43% DPM. And it's something interesting when you just look at, you go all the way down to even Elk, right? So 1 second. So we'll just finish this up. Elk was fifth in minutes played on Smolder, and it helped him about 28 DPM in his end of split stats at 14.5%. So before, you got in between Hansam and Elk here, a lot of players that were on bad teams. Bro, DRX, RNG, Nongshim, Dignitas, they all frankly sucked. We're not very competitive. You kind of ruled them out of playoff contention and definitely near the top of the standings contention when Smolder was really hitting it. And you got to also something I should have done here is I should have ignored, and I definitely would have needed more time to do this video, should have ignored patch 14.1 and 14.2 in the games that took place on those until Smolder was enabled. And then we could actually see the percentage of minutes played be much higher, and the DPM could have been affected much more in the window of time when Smolder was enabled. Just something I just thought about now that kind of alters these numbers a bit. Actually, if anything, this is probably even more boosted, if you will. Because hell, you played him even more minutes than, because really Hansam, I think it's almost half of his minutes played from, he didn't play him in winter. So spring was the only time he played Smolder. 4 out of 9 games, that's a lot. That's over 44% of the games outright, let alone minutes played. I think it was like 49% or something like that. So the fact of the matter is, a lot of teams did rely on Smolder, and it didn't result in wins, really. The teams did not end up doing better in the standings when they played a bunch of Smolder. It may have helped their DPM and things like that, but, in wins and losses, I don't think it really helped all that much. And you really think about it, Bro is not a team that surprises me to be second. And it didn't surprise me yesterday that Envy played it more than anything else, because Bro plays slow style of play, and Smolder is literally that type of AD carry. But, you got Teddy, LWX, 2 older AD carries, or at least experienced. What else do we have here? So Elk, like I said, negative 28, about 14.5%. Deft, negative 26 and 10%. Ruler, negative 24, 12.5%. We're getting into where it's like, it didn't make that much of a difference, right? When we look at 50 games, and we're looking at, not 50, but 40 to 50 games. In the case of the LCK and especially the LPL regular season, and their DPMs are between 800 and roughly 650, 600. 12 is not all that big of a difference, right? We're looking at a couple percentage points. But when you get up here where it's in the 80s and 100 and things like that, it's like, oh, that's actually a lot, right? You're looking at, if you take this away, his DPM drops by 15 to 20%, in the case of Hansama even. So it's quite significant. Berserker, negative 18 and about 9.3%. Jackie Love, negative 10, 8.5. Pays, negative 10 and only 2.9%. He only played it, I think, once. There are a few players that only played it one time, and it kind of is funny. You think about it, he only played it one time. It couldn't have affected things all that much. 10 DPM over 40 games. I mean, 48 games is, I mean, sorry, geez, I don't even know why I'm even correcting it because it's roughly 40 to 45 games. But his DPM after 44 of those 45 games is this, and then pays his one game actually boosted 10. Which can be the difference in ranking, and people want to. I know I utilize stats a lot, and that's why I like doing videos like this. So the difference between, you know, two players could be very minute. Um, Gala negative 9 4.8, Suppa negative 9 10.3, Aiming negative 8 4.6, Photic negative 6 7.8, Viper negative 6 6.4. Guma relatively unscathed as well, negative 4 and 2.6%. I think they only played Smolder once. Also, now let's look at here real fast. Who was the highest in DPM, and did it change when I took the Smolder games away? Not really. In the LPL, it's still Elk, Photic, Ruler, and Abel, top 4. Also, something to note. Yesterday, I did screw up LEC, and I may have screwed up LCS when I went over and highlighted who was the highest. I definitely screwed up LEC. So there's going to be a little, correction here, and this is the correct numbers for that. Fifth in LPL does change from Jackie Love to Gala. That kind of goes to show you how close they are in DPM. Because literally the difference caused a difference in ranking. LCK and LCS stay the same. LCK, it's Viper pays Deft, and LCS, it is Meech and FBI. I think I had Masu yesterday as second, but it was really supposed to be FBI. And then in the case of the LEC, it does change. So Noah leads the way in DPM, and he didn't play any Smolder at all. Suppa is second, and he played Smolder for 10% of his minutes. And it changes from Karzi to Exakick when you do take away the Smolder games. Karzi was negative, lost 37 DPM when you take away 12% of his minutes due to Smolder. Exakick didn't play Smolder at all, so he ends up third when you do remove it. So just something to kind of look at and note here. Ice's DPM is in the toilet, pretty low. Just something I wanted to throw out there. But nevertheless, thank you for watching. Comment down below with your thoughts. Like the video if you like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter. Join the Discord. Become a YouTube supporter. And I hope to see you again tomorrow.